Here we are starting a new series introducing the Draenei. I have other race starting zones which you can find links to in the comments below. In the playthrough, we'll discuss the Draenei history and culture. There's so much lore and history in World of Warcraft, but it doesn't always come across when you're running around leveling. To make this a bit more interesting, our characters in these starter videos will have a bit of a personality. I'm not usually a role player in World of Warcraft, but I do play Dungeons & Dragons and enjoy making quirky characters. So I think a bit of quirkiness will make our characters and the video much more engaging. The videos are edited, so you won't have to watch me kill 10 boars and pick 20 flowers to finish the quests. Unless I'm using that time to talk about lore, or if there's a unique NPC dialogue during the quest progress, I'll just edit out the repeated tasks involved. Alright, let's head into Azeroth.
Empowered by the holy light and the undying strength of their convictions, the Draenei led the charge against the demonic Burning Legion in Outland. Now, with the Legion's defeat, they have completed the desperate mission that first brought them to Azeroth. Though some Draenei were sent back to Outland to revitalize their former civilization, the majority have vowed to remain and uphold their sacred commitment to the Alliance. Driven by a powerful vision, the immortal prophet Velen believes that a great war between the darkness and the light is fast approaching, and that Azeroth will be its principal battleground. As one of Velen's chosen, you must stand bravely before the Shadow and ensure that your people are ready for the war to come.
So I'm not sure what to say about the Draenei's introduction video, other than I don't think it makes very much sense chronologically and doesn't seem to mention anything about the crash landing on Azeroth, so we'll just be ignoring it. Okay, let's meet our Draenei main character. This is Lorenaari, and she is shy, perhaps even mousy. She has a hard time squeaking her way into conversations and situations. She has opinions, of course, because she is a researcher. Sharing those opinions with others is hard, though. As the bookish type, she certainly never expected to be needed in the field. With the crash landing on Azeroth, though, and the loss of so many of their already dwindling population, this has forced the need for more field researchers and workers. Lorenaari is not afraid to get dirty, though, as long as she can get some notes about the experience along the way. In order to take those notes, she's spent the expensive reagents to create a floating research journal that follows her. Lorenaari can now orate to the journal, who will record the necessary findings. So with her trusty notebook in hand, we'll set out to explore this new planet and recover from the crash. Never mind my injuries, sister. It's a miracle that any of us are alive. I didn't think you'd pull through. You've been in suspension for weeks. Something happened and the Exodar crashed. Many have died. I am relieved that you are alive, Lorenaari. With you leading our efforts, I'm sure we'll get to safety soon. Proenitus asked me to send you to him when you awoke. He's waiting for you at the bottom of the hill. Just follow the path southwest. I forgot to mention at the start that I do read the quests and I attempt the accent of the race. There is a lot of debate on what the Draenei have as an accent. Is it Russian or Bulgarian or Slavic or Romanian? Whatever it is, it's not a big common one, so. Before we go into the Draenei's distant past, let's catch everyone up on why we have crash landed on Azeroth to start with. After all, it happened within the last few weeks, chronologically from this point, so it would be fresh in everybody's mind. But first, Lorenaari, my eternal soul, it is good to see you. I don't know why the Exodar crashed. Only those of us in this part of the ship remain. There is not much time. We have to save everyone we can. Our immediate concern is the depleted state of our healing crystals. We must replenish them quickly. Unfortunately, the only way to do this at this point is to extract the blood from the local veil moths. Their blood will make for a suitable substitute. The moths can be found in many places around the Vale, but they are mostly concentrated in the northwest. Okay, so the fact that the Draenei crash landed on Azeroth implies, of course, that they are not from Azeroth. The Draenei had lived for a long time on the planet of Draenor. Even Draenor wasn't their original home planet, but they called it home for hundreds of years up to this point. Things weren't looking good on Draenor, though. The Draenei had been in hiding. Finally, an opportunity arose for them to flee the planet and look for help to stop the invading force swarming Draenor. The opportunity was called Tempest Keep, a beautiful spaceship sent from the beings of light called the Naru to help the Draenei. They made their way to its location but found other humanoids had already taken it over. The Blood Elves claimed the keep for themselves, despite it being sent for the Draenei. The Draenei were few in numbers, so they used stealth and infiltrated a small satellite of Tempest Keep. After a bit of engineering, the Draenei rigged the satellite for space travel. Something went wrong though, and before the satellite, called the Exodar, could get very far, system failures blared through the ship. The engineers couldn't fix the ever-increasing problems that riddled the aircraft, and the ship crashed on Azeroth. The wreckage now sits on the unpopulated island called Azuremist Isles. From a gameplay standpoint, the Draenei starting area is larger than most beginning zones of Azeroth. They have 2 islands dedicated to them, and this originally would bring the players to about level 20 instead of just 10. Players can choose to leave and merge with the rest of the population at the halfway point, before traveling to the second island. For our playthrough though, I think it important to see the entire starting zone dedicated to this race. I also believe we find out, in the end, why the Exodar had system failures and crashed. Lorenaari, have you harvested the necessary moth blood for the healing crystals yet? With the survivors scattered all over the Vale, time is of the essence. Regrettable that those creatures had to die so that we might live. Indiscriminate killing is not the Draenei way. However, the blood you gathered will replenish our healing crystals, so their deaths will not be in vain. Now that you have gathered all that we need to replenish our healing crystals, I need you to deliver the vials to Zaldun, our priest. You'll find him tending to the wounded inside the central chamber of the ship. Hello, mage. What have you there? Is it for me? Good work. This will do nicely to replenish our depleted healing crystals. But now that you are here, I think I have another use for you, if you're willing. The healing crystals are replenished, but that is not the only way we can help the injured. All Draenei can tap the gift of the Naru to heal. You must use this ability to heal one of the crash survivors. You'll find most of the survivors in the areas to the west and northwest, but the crash scattered us all over the Vale. The survivors have suffered from exposure to the irradiated power crystals, so you should be able to find them by the red glow that surrounds them. Lorenaari, botanist Terex is in need of your assistance. You'll find her with the apprentices, to the west outside the ship. Oh, thank goodness you've come. We have much to do. The irradiated power cores from the Exodar have been wreaking havoc on the environment here. The most obvious effects have been the appearance of these strange creatures that seem to have sprung up near them. There may be something we can do to help them, but now their sheer numbers are becoming too much for us to handle. I'd like you to go out and cull their numbers somewhat, and perhaps I'll have another idea after giving it some thought. The benefit of staying on the islands that were designed for the Draenei is that you get a unique questing experience that isn't shared with the humans or the Night Elves, so if you're into new quests and lore, you should stay. Surprisingly, and unlike other starting zones, you actually get little snippets of the Draenei's past in the quest text, and the chat bubbles from the NPCs. It certainly isn't a full recap, otherwise my video would be pointless, but it's a great introduction. The downside is that the design of the zone is based on second expansion technology. This eliminates some of the modern conveniences you have from the other starting zones, which were redone during the 4th expansion. It does feel a little closer to the classic World of Warcraft experience because of this. So that's a quick summary of the immediate past and the zone summary. Let's get into the juicy story of the Draenei. Now wait, some of you might say, the Draenei are boring. All they like is light. and doing lighty things, and putting up purple crystals everywhere. Well, this, my friends, is just the tiny surface of who they are. They have dangerous betrayals, desperate survival, and close encounters of the Legion kind in their history. This sounds far from boring. So let's hop on a spaceship called Storyteller and travel back in time to the home planet of the Draenei, Argus. As our ship approaches the planet Argus, we see it is beautiful, vibrant, and full of resources, the perfect condition for our race to develop into intelligent beings. These beings were not called Draenei, though. They named themselves the Eridar. The Eridar's development was quickened by an artifact known as the Atamal Crystal. Soon the Eridar were building elaborate cities with complex engineering, studying the truths behind life and their responsibility towards nature, and discovering this magical power they possessed called the Light. The Eridar loved knowledge and beauty. There were originally 2 Eridar that led their people. They set goals for new discoveries, established rules for responsible use of technology, and listened to the prophetic visions of the future to guide the people in wisdom. These 2 leaders were named Valen and Kil'jaeden, and they created the seat of the Duumvirate. That is the leadership committee. You finished? That's good news. Hopefully we can find a way to avoid the killing of these mutated beasts in the future. I believe I have formed a plan that might give us an alternative solution to the problem, but I will need your help. The nearby lake has been contaminated by one of the ship's power crystals. Many of the plants and animals of the Amen Vale have been mutated because of this. I have a theory on how to heal the lake, but I must have samples from the mutated lashers for analysis. They can be found to the west of the Amen Fields. Oh boy, a research quest. Gotta get a blank page in my journal. The Amen Fields to the west are the primary breeding ground of the local lasher population. With the corruption of the water table from the nearby lake, botanist Terex is worried that the lashers will not be able to repopulate themselves once we have cleansed the lake. Go to the almond fields and pick some of the corrupted flowers from me so that I might take a look at them and see what can be done. You should be able to identify them by their uncharacteristic red petals. Well, Lorenaari is very excited to be involved in this research on radiation and how our ship is affecting the wildlife in the area. She has excellent observational skills and takes very detailed notes, especially in this top-of-the-line magic journal we have, though in the past people have been quite dismissive of her details. Zana needs our help to salvage parts from the Exodar. Terex prepared an inoculum that can be given to the Nestlewood owlkin that live in the area of a lot of the salvage. Just get close to the unaffected ones and use the crystal on them. Unfortunately, you'll have to kill the others. You'll find the owlkin of Nestlewood Thicket and Nestlewood Hills to the southeast. Wait, we're supposed to rescue salvage by inoculating owlkin? That quest kind of didn't make any sense. Journal, please note that quest giver Vindikar Aladar struggles to create a sensible request. The light be praised. You've done what only a true heroine could have done, Lorenaari. The Draenei you saved owe their continued life to your selflessness. Alright, level 3, and we got an extra pouch. Very important. It looks like there's still a quest to pick up. We must have missed it when we were out there. Maybe that's this Zana that the Vindikar was talking about. Oh, it is. We managed to recover a damaged holographic emitter from the crash. If we repair it, we will have a chance to find other survivors outside the Amen Vale. There were devices from the ship that could be salvaged for spare parts in the area, but the local owlkin carried them off before we could get to them. Lorenaari, you must go to the south Nestlewood Thicket and Hills to find the spare parts. Yes, that does make Vindikar make a little bit more sense. Journal, please make a notation that Technician Zana should simply be moved to a more visible location. This will make Vindikar Aldar seem less like a loony. So back on our home planet of Argus, we see that the two leaders, Valen and Kil'jaeden, were as close as brothers. They were complete opposites, but in their wisdom they saw they complemented each other perfectly. Kil'jaeden was incredibly charismatic and very handsome. He had a powerful physique and was also decisive. He was the perfect mix to be a leader. Valen was skilled in both science and magic, but even more than his knowledge, the group benefited from his wisdom. Valen had prophetic visions, for he was the closest to the Atamal crystal. Valen guided Kil'jaeden, and Kil'jaeden led with clarity and purpose. Journal, make a note that poking the mutated owlkin with the crystal does not seem to have any effect. Oh, Journal, also make a note that the mutated owlkin seem to be red, as opposed to the tannish yellow that the other ones are. This supports the findings that we discovered in the plant life. Everything that has been irradiated turns red. Journal, you may turn back to our history lesson now. As a leader on Argus, Valen in particular showed his love for his people. A strange disease began affecting the Eridar. It slowed their minds and dampened their memory. Many feared it was contagious and proposed exiling all who had it. Valen, however, refused to send any of the sick away. Not long ago, the Eridar had discovered a strange crystal of light that had fallen from the sky. It had created beautiful golden sunsets for days after it came. Its properties seemed healing-related, though they were still studying it. Valen took this artifact and, at the risk of catching the disease himself, walked among the afflicted, channeling his magic through the crystal. To his relief, it cured the disease. He worked tirelessly to bring relief to everyone affected. Sometime later, a master arcanist known as Thalkiel was experimenting with different forms of magic. All Eridar had a small connection to the light, but new forms of magic were always sought after. Knowledge was the core of the Eridar's existence. Thalkiel was very powerful, but had little wisdom, and he discovered the twisting energy hidden within a place called the Twisting Nether. He knew the power felt demonic, but he was simply looking for a boost. He wasn't looking for pure destruction. With excitement and the hope that they could use this power for something, he prepared a demonstration for Valen and Kil'jaeden. His apprentice, Archimond, helped set up some old, run-down arcane constructs. Once everything was prepared, he tapped into the Twisting Nether, rained green demonic meteors down upon the constructs, and obliterated them. Joyful, he turned around and found the leaders were not impressed by his display. Kil'jaeden looked stern and unreadable, but Valen looked disappointed. He scolded Thalkiel for even considering such foul magic, and forbid him from pursuing its study. Unknown to the leaders then, this was the first small display of larger dangers to come. Alright, Journal, flip back to our note-taking. It seems that the owlkin had very different responses to being inoculated. Some were overjoyed. Some didn't mind the crystal's effects, some became disoriented, and others were agitated. However, none became aggressive, as was suggested by the Vindikar. Let's head over to the floral fields over here and study the plant life further. Journal, before we go back to our story, make a quick note of the wonderful variety of plant life here we have. Beautiful purple ground cover, aquamarine colored flowers, and amethyst colored mushrooms. Excellent, yes. Turn back to our story now, dear. Our master arcanist Thalkiel was not one to appreciate discipline, and continued to pursue the study of the Twisting Nether magics behind closed doors. Archimond, his apprentice, was wary of this. He was an incredibly loyal student, but when Thalkiel began talking about overthrowing the leaders, he could no longer keep quiet. Archimonde went to Valen and Kil'jaeden, warning them of Thalkiel's deceit. Archimonde led the attack against Thalkiel, defeating him, and was warmly embraced into leadership. Valen, Kil'jaeden, and Archimonde would form the seat of Triumvirate. This three-seated leadership team would rule as one unit. Archimonde's place in leadership was one closely connected to the people. He walked among them, talked with them, and shared stories. He learned the names of the priests, engineers, scientists, and the mothers, fathers, and children. In getting to know the populace directly, he had a gift for finding each person's strengths. Archimonde organized the populace to be the most efficient when getting work done, but also to provide them with a fulfilling life. These three leaders created a golden society. Hello, Vindikar Aldar. I have some notes. The more we can do to clear up Nestlewood, the faster Zana can get back to work. With many of the Owlkin now inoculated, we can focus on getting out there, and not having to worry about wiping out the Owlkin population in the area. Yes, that's true, but you see I have this journal that I took notes in. We now have several separate confirmations of unusual activity on the Shadow Ridge. Shadow Ridge? This is disturbing. We thought that the scouting missions already undertaken had been thorough. One of my scouts hasn't reported back yet. Well, that is too bad, but Mage, I need you to head southwest to the other side of Silverline Lake and find Tolan, and see what has delayed him. Okay. When we have those spare parts, I know we'll get this emitter repaired. With any luck, there will be someone else out there left to talk to. Let me take a look at those. Oh, my research notes? Yes, okay. Yes, I think these will do nicely. Good job, Lorenaari. The emitter is rather complex, so it may take some time to finish the repairs. I'll let you know when it is ready. Oh, you just wanted the parts. In the meantime, you might see if Vindikar Aldar has anything he could use you for. Okay. I already talked to him, but... Okay, well, I'm sure the researchers over here will be much more interested. I mean, technicians don't generally need research notes, and I guess Vindikars are not into that either. Oh, okay, journal. Prepare your pages. Let's get the right page open for these people. Okay, hello. I have taken some research notes on the botany, the different types and colors in precise detail. I need all the samples in good condition if we are to have a chance cleansing the lake. Oh, of course, the samples. We don't have much time, Mage. Yes, of course. These will do, thank you, Mage. While you were out, I managed to gather some equipment together to make an analysis of the samples. This should only take a moment. Okay, wow, you're scary. Hello, Mage. Do you have the flowers yet? These look like fine specimens. Thank you for performing the field work. Once I find time to analyze these, I should be able to tell what it will take to restore the fields. Oh, excellent. I'm glad you like my samples. Oh, yeah, I see you have to get back to work, so I'll just, Thank goodness. I think it'll work. I have an agent for you to spread at Silverline Lake to the south. It will neutralize the effects of the irradiated ship's power crystal that fell there. Swim out and scatter the neutralizing agent near it. Don't worry, you won't be exposed long enough to become irradiated. Wait, I have to swim? Well, at least I got waterproof pages. I think we'll end our questing there. Poor Lorenaari will have to prepare for a swim on our next video. But before we leave, like my other videos, I have created a timeline of the Draenei history. Let's take a look at it. Our timeline starts on the bottom left with the Eredar developing on Argus. And after a long time of development where Valen cleansed diseases and they rejected fel magic, the Eredar reached their golden age, about 40,000 years before the Dark Portal was opened. Now, I mentioned the Dark Portal and have put it on the timeline despite not having talked about it yet because it is a turning point in the chronology of World of Warcraft history. It marks the point in time when the planet Draenor was linked with Azeroth. Azeroth being, of course, the primary place where World of Warcraft takes place on. I also put on the timeline when Tempest Keep arrived on Outland. and that the Blood Elves took the keep and the Draenei hijacked the Exodar and crash landed on Azeroth, since that was in our immediate past. And at this point we know that the Draenei joined the Alliance. So that sums up what we learned in this video. As you can see, there are plenty of other crystals to fill in. So until our next video, Assistant Professor Lorenaari and her trusty journal are signing out.